Welcome to Dropped In, Kristi. I am so honored to welcome you to our Dropped In community.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is a full body yes. I met you, my goodness, it was probably close to 6 months ago at least now, if not
Yeah.
more, and I knew that you would be a perfect fit for our community, so thank you so much for your time and energy and for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Totally. I'm so excited.
Good stuff. All right. So I would love for you to share who you are, what you do, and why you're obsessed with what you get to do.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So I am Kristi. I'm a subconscious and somatic facilitator, practitioner, speaker. I'm the lead facilitator in the SIT certification program as well. Subconscious Imprinting Technique is SIT. And so I spend a lot of my time over there. And I have recently started working a lot more with leaders. So, CEOs, entrepreneurs, facilitators, practitioners, anyone that is in that role of leading others. And why am I obsessed with this role is because of how often in the last little while in my work I'm hearing people coming to me saying that, their practitioner, their therapist, their this, their that, sent them in a direction that just was not suitable for the capacity of their nervous system, or just kind of doing things that maybe they're not, like the practitioner doing things that maybe they're not trained enough in to be guiding and doing. And even when we look at the role of like leaders, anyone leading a team, where your system is at is going to impact your whole team.
Mm.
And I've experienced the other side of this working with leaders that are very dysregulated and are acting out of pattern, or that dysregulation reacting rather than responding. And it's not comfortable, right? So this is where I'm like, okay, I can actually do something about this and educate people on the impact of that. And in my mind, it is our, as facilitators, as speakers, as healers, coaches, whatever term you go by, it's our sacred responsibility to be in a place that I am a safe space for my clients to arrive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I know, safety is the number one priority in my spaces as well, but I am actually appalled by how little spaces are infused in that capacity. So I would love to learn. I mean, I have so many questions for you. First and foremost, can you share what SIT is? Because I had never heard about it until I met you, and I'm so fascinated by it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's subconscious imprinting technique. And essentially, it's a multi step process to uncover and resolve the often emotional roots of really anything. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is like, I work with folks with chronic pain. I work with, again, a lot of entrepreneurs, practitioners around money, or blocks with, like, calling in maybe not so aligned clients. How can we rewrite that? I work with folks on with like navigating symptoms of anxiety, depression, relationship stuff coming up. Sit can be utilized with absolutely any reason or issue, shall we say. I don't love that word, but you get the idea. And so ultimately, I ask questions about whatever the thing is that they want to work on. And then we switch gears to, okay, what do you want instead? So if this XYZ were no longer an issue, what would life look like? What would you be doing more of? Or, what would you be doing less of? What would you be feeling in your body? What would you be experiencing? And then I do an intuitive process to actually pull up the root age, emotions, a few other things. We chat about that time in their life. Now, this is often an unresolved trauma, suppressed emotions, memories, these types of things, right? So again comes in the necessity for being a safe space and being able to hold and being like unfucking shakeable with whatever they're going to bring in that moment, right?
Mhm.
So we chat about that time in their life, and then I have them repeat a number of statements after me to actually release and reprogram the subconscious mind and reprogram into what they want instead.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's fantastic. How did you find this modality and why did you learn to study it?
So when I first started my business, I was doing a few different, like, sort of energy healing modalities, and Reiki being the primary one. Now, it was great. Clients would come. I was like fairly, fully booked, and clients would come in and have a really lovely session and leave feeling all zenned out and whatever it was. And then they would come back and say, like, oh, the overwhelm is back. And I was like, shit, like, how can we? It's a beautiful modality, right?
Mhm.
And I still use it at times and it has its place. But for me, I was like, I want to go deeper. I want to get to the actual root of whatever it is that's causing, in this case, overwhelm. And so I started to see sit popping up on Facebook, Instagram, and it was actually created. So I'm from Alberta. It was created by a couple also here in Alberta. I'm in Calgary, they're in Edmonton.
Okay.
And so I started to see them. They're also a queer couple. So that was also a thing for me that I was like, huh, who are these two? Right. And so I kept watching and I was very intrigued. And they talked a lot about getting to the root and finally, providing long term relief for clients rather than just the band aid that, if you're not getting to the root, then that's kinda what the modality is. Again, not that anything is wrong, like, I still
Yeah.
go to utilize all of those modalities, right? But, so they were talking about getting to the root, and I just followed along quietly for probably a year and a half or so, and eventually I watched their masterclass. It was pre-recorded, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm in." And I hadn't experienced a session, hadn't and it was just that knowing of like, "Okay, I'm signing up." And I did, and that was, let me see, 5 years ago. And so here we are now that I am now the lead facilitator in the certification program.
That's
So,
fantastic.
pretty fun. Yeah.
That is so cool. So I'm also in the world of infusing this type of work in not sit, but this type of work into corporations and leadership roles. So how are you finding? I'm assuming that you're bringing sit and other modalities into this world. How is it being received? How is it for them to really be in that space of wow, I'm actually being held in this safe space? I would love to learn more about that.
Mhm. I mean, it depends. In groups is different than one-on-one, of course. So the first time that I had actually introduced it into more of a corporate setting, I was speaking at an event. I won't share what it was, but I was speaking at an event 2 days in a row. And I had like 15 minutes on stage each day kind of thing. It was for a wellness break essentially. So this is the 15 minutes in an event for a wellness break. And this is the frame of mind behind some of the wellness how they're bringing wellness into corporations. That's why I was like, "Oh my gosh, we got to do something bigger here." Anyway, I did sit statements on the stage that day when I was speaking to there was about 400 people in the room. And the organizer had actually called me back the next day and said, "Maybe don't do that." And I said, "Oh, okay." All right. So that was really interesting. And it was okay. Like I can switch on a dime and speak about something different. That wasn't an issue. But it was really interesting to just see how the sit statement process was not very received. So there was some talk about it being like religious. And I was like, curious. Okay. So it was perceived in whatever way it was perceived. And so I the next day I just spoke nervous system and I didn't do any sit statements. Um, but it has been really interesting. One-on-one, I find it's wonderful, like, when people are actually seeking me out. Now, to sort of cold call, shall we say, corporations has not been, like, that's just people are like, "Who are you? What are you talking about?" Even going out to, networking events and sharing about what I do, it's so fascinating to see that some people are very intrigued and will ask questions and will, they want to experience it, and whereas some, it's just blank stare, like, I do not know. So, it's been interesting. It's been very interesting, but to me, so I do a lot of speaking and a lot of facilitation at retreats and things like that, and so when I'm sharing this type of work in those environments, it's so well received, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, "Okay, that's beautiful," and I also want to reach the people that are maybe not in those rooms, right? Like, how can we get to the people that maybe aren't so aware of how the nervous system works and how the subconscious works, and because that's what is going to create change, in my opinion,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I've started to move in that direction.
Mhm. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Everybody needs this work. So I'm curious, from your perspective, when working with such corporations, do they even recognize the importance of this work, nervous system work specifically?
Not often. But I
Mhm.
think it's also, I mean, that comes down to even when I'm doing group sessions, for example, I've started doing group in-person sessions in Calgary, just open to the public, right? And even there, I notice people are coming to the event, and some of them even aren't aware of the nervous system and the importance of doing nervous system work, right? So
Mhm.
even the folks that are seeking out certain types of growth or evolution work are not quite familiar with the importance of the nervous system. And so, no, a lot of them don't quite know because they've just like folks have been just living in this autopilot state for life that now it's
Mhm.
just normal, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of folks don't even see that there's an issue until they start to learn about their system and learn about these patterns, and they're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I've been
right?
doing what?" Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for them to actually experience something different. I know a lot of people I work with are operating at like a level 8 out of 10 stress, and they
Mm,
think that's just normal. Like,
yes.
far out, far
Yeah.
out. But what I'm coming to see is like that is a typical baseline for a lot of well, specifically in high leadership roles. Would you agree?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So for them to be able to have these tools and skill sets to, decrease the pressure and overwhelm and stress and anxiety and, all of the things that is affecting their health, their relationships, their everything, right?
Everything, it's
Yeah, it's
massive. Yeah.
literally giving them life force. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
at the event that I met you at, I have to share, you actually triggered me a little bit because you dropped a bomb. And I was like, watching the room, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, people are really activated right now. And at first, I was like, what is she doing? So, can you drop into that? Because that actually gave me a huge permission slip to own my story because I've got a dark story, and I was like, "Well, toying around, like, how to share it," right? But in today's day and age, specifically on January 28th, as we are recording this, there is no warning for what we are seeing in today's day and age. So, care
Mhm.
to share a little bit more about that? Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, totally. Yeah. That is the first time that I've shared that story on a stage. I have shared it, like, tiptoed, right? Like you said, I've tiptoed around that, and it just, like, that week, I hadn't really planned my talk per se. I had some ideas of what I was gonna talk about, and, I mean, God dropped in loud and clear and said, "We're going there," and I was like, "Are we? But really? Is it time? I don't think it's time, come on." And so I shared about my experience with suicidal ideation and, seeing that growing up though too from my dad, and, I mean, it was interesting because I knew it was going to be activating. when we see how many people are impacted by suicide in some way or another, right? Whether it's been someone directly that you are close to, whatever it is, like we have all been impacted by suicide. And the important thing here too is that I knew that I was going to activate people in that room. I knew it was going to be triggering. And though I also knew that by moving people through the process that I did through sit and through soul flow, that, the hope was they weren't going to be leaving the room up here, they would come back down to baseline. And for the most part, I did also open up the invitation of like, if you are super activated, please do come find me.
Mhm.
And nobody came to find me from that, but I will tell you, many people came to me afterwards to say, thank you for saying what you did, and thank you for bringing that up. And this gives, like you said, this gives me permission to talk about my story and to share what I want to share. And I think this, for me, I mean, I personally, so I've had that experience myself, and then also have lost a lot of people to suicide. And as I had mentioned in that talk, my goal in the work that I'm doing is presence and safety. So choosing to be present always and in all ways. What that means for me is like I can sit in the shit, I can be in the uncomfortable, whatever it is. I can also experience the joy. And now that has taken a long time for me to get to this place, right? Through this work. And of course, at the extreme end of that is suicide for anyone that is at that point of like, nope, I can't be here anymore. I really, really feel that we can change that. I don't think there's a lot of differing opinions on this in terms of like, well, maybe that's just their time. Fuck that.
Mhm.
I do not subscribe to that at all
Mhm.
because I think that if people had the tools and knew what was happening in their body, that would not be happening. And I just think it's so important that we do start getting louder about this, and it's been on my heart for so long, and I knew after a few years ago, after a friend of mine died by suicide, again, it came up, and I was like, "Okay, I have to do it, I have to do it," and so this is why eventually, by the time I was stepping on that stage to speak at that event, I was like, "Here we go. Here we go."
I don't know if you can see
Mm.
this, like, the crown of my head is crawling right now. My whole body is just flooded with shivers, and I commend you and I thank you, and I also just wanna share, like, that is the power and the potency of cultivating a safe space.
Mhm.
'Cause I was in the back of the room. I mean, I do this work, and I was, like, far out, but I was like, "Wow, this room is held and supported," and I knew that you had us. You
Mm.
infused that intentionally
Yeah.
into the space, so thank you for that, and, uh, I mean, I come from a very dark past. I had a severe, eating disorder, anxiety, depression, ongoing suicidal ideation. And so for you to open up that conversation and to see I don't think anybody sat down when you posed that question of who here has been influenced by suicide in some shape or form, there was
Yeah.
not a single person that sat down.
Yeah.
And this is what takes the charge away from the severity of this shame that we
Yeah.
are walking around carrying, whether it's ours or someone else's. I know when I first came out of the closet with the eating disorder, I had friends like, "Why are you talking about that?" I'm like, like, but now it's like, I am gonna continue, and thank you for doing that in that room, continue to share more and more and more about my story because it gives other people that message of hope
Mhm.
that, wow, like, you made it through the trenches. And if it's
Totally.
possible for you, it's possible for me too. So I totally agree. It's not someone's time. And yeah, I mean, we go deep here, don't we? Welcome to Dropped
Indeed.
In.
Indeed. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. And honestly, it has allowed me to own even more parts of my story, and I know I won't name names, but there's a speaker who shares about what you did for her in a single s I think it was a single session, wasn't it?
One session, yeah.
Yeah, that story she shared, I was like, "Holy," like, I've heard her speak a lot, and that was a deep, deep share, and
Yeah.
so this is the power of your work, so I commend you, thank you.
Mhm, thank you. Yeah. I love like, when you just said that you could feel the whole room felt held, that, like, made my heart explode because
Yeah.
that is the most important thing to me is creating those safe spaces to show people like, here's what's possible. We can go there and we can talk about it. And it doesn't mean that we have to be in the deep, dark depths of shit for like ever. Now, I mean, obviously, some things take a little longer to move through than others, but we can go there, right?
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated you saying that. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, if someone isn't well trained and isn't aware of there's so much going on in these rooms, right? And if we don't have that awareness, we could potentially hurt a lot of people.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I have to admit I was like, "What the hell is she doing?" And I'm like, "No, we're held. We're good. We're good here, right?"
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but I also wanna side note, like, this isn't for everybody to just decide to go out and do, and I think
Uh-huh.
in this space, I don't know, Christy, if you can agree, but I mean, I was a nurse for 18 years. I worked in mental health and addictions. I've been studying this type of work, the nervous system work, in the work that I do now for the last 15 years. Like,
Mm,
I take this work so seriously,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people that are just deciding to take a random course and taking people through these experiences, and there can be a lot of harm done if you don't have the integrity to be able to lead these types of spaces.
Mhm. And this is what I'm hearing a lot of by either people that are coming into my group containers or people that are reaching out to work together one to one. And even to the point of someone just shared with me last week that she was seeing a psychologist for years. And she said, my psychologist said that we would get into doing some somatic work. And so she said, I mean, she's a psychologist, she's well trained, so I thought, sure, let's do this. And she said, I left her office feeling completely blown out every time
Mm.
after that. And just thinking that what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my body that I can't receive this or, whatever it was, and would go back the next time, same thing, go back the next time until she finally started to realize like, wait, is this and she had actually we had had a call at one point and she had asked me that question, is this normal? Like, should I feel completely blown out and like complete garbage for weeks after a session? And I was like, no. Mm-mm,
No.
that does not need to be happening at all, and she's like, "But she's a like, she's trained, she" and I said, "Well, she's trained in the mind to work with the mind, right? But maybe not trained to work with the body and the nervous system, and that's
Mhm.
different."
It is.
But you're right, there's so many people that are just, like, using that word. The somatic industry, I don't know if you've heard this, but is the fastest growing industry as of today, even faster than yoga, which is cool, but also not cool because it means that like there's a lot of people throwing these words around that are not properly trained and are
Mm.
causing damage.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they are. They are. And it is a bit like the wild, wild west out there, and I think I know we're on the same frequency in here, but, I see a lot of people just chasing the money, like, I'm not in this for the money whatsoever. Yes, I understand we need to live and make money to, do the things and to actually live here on planet Earth. However, that is not the reason why I got into this work, and I know that's not why you got into this work either.
Mhm.
But I see a lot of people getting into it for the wrong reason, and it's just so disheartening because is just creating so much dissonance, right? And it's
Mhm.
causing so much disconnection and dissociation for people to even, you know, try and move forward in their life, let alone get into the space that they're working with in the first place, right?
Mhm. Totally, and this to me, I mean, like I don't know, I went to years of talk therapy, right? Like, again, has its place.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what we need. Like, we need to get into the body. We need to bring more people into their body. But like you're saying here, yeah, there are a lot of people who are saying, I've experienced trauma. And so therefore, I'm trauma informed and I can guide you through your trauma. And I just, that ain't it, that ain't it. So, and I hear you too with the money thing. Like, I mean, it's a lot of work to build up a business, first of
Mhm.
all. So even just to like have that thought, I'm like, how are you building up this business that quickly that you're making that much money without any of the training? Anyway,
Mhm.
side note, but I feel like it's so fascinating to see those reasons why people get into it. And
Mhm.
then a lot of times often leave the industry, but or cause a lot of damage, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yes. Hence why we are in, have you heard this? We're in the trust recession.
Oh,
Yeah.
mm,
And I think for a good reason.
yeah.
And I think people are waking up and having that discernment within their bodies, recognizing, yeah, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out here,
Oh, yeah,
right? And we have that discernment now to recognize if that is in fact somebody who I would say, do you practice what you preach? Do you embody what you teach? Right? Like
I love that.
Kristi, got into the work that I do today because, yeah, I try traditional talk therapy and I still go once in a while, and it's everything serves a time and place.
Yeah,
But I found myself going and just pretending everything was fine because I didn't want to rehash anything. I didn't want to get re-traumatized, so I would just
yeah,
pretend that everything was fine, right?
yeah,
And I went to my doctor, and listen, I was a nurse for a very long time. I know medication serves a time and place as well. I was put on antidepressants, and it just made my symptoms worse and worse and worse towards I was no longer in the building. And thank
yeah.
goodness there was that little girl in me still was like, we got to get to the root. And that's how I started to get into the work personally,
Mhm.
working with people who are highly trained within the subconscious and the nervous system. And that's where I started to have this automatic shift and lasting change was getting to the root, right? But with
Mhm.
that, I was the client first,
Oh, of course.
right? And now, even to go deeper with the work that we're trained in, we become the student first, then the client, and then the
Yeah.
teacher, right?
Yep, absolutely. That is like within the SIT certification, that is something that is so massive. And for myself too, like this is why I do the work that I do is because of like you had shared earlier, like I get to be the example. I get to show what's possible because holy shit, did I think I would be here by now at 41? No, definitely not. So here we are. I get to be that example. But of course, it came first with digging into my own work. And then within the SIT certification, one of the big things that we go by is we know the way. So we learn the things and
Mhm,
then we go the way. So we do the things, experience the modality a lot
mhm.
of times, and
Yeah,
then we show the way, right? And so, and then we go out and we bring it to the public. And this is such a huge part of this certification as well. And about how I provide the work that I do to my clients for my
mm,
clients as well. Like there is nothing that I have not explored deeply before bringing it to clients.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a testament to who you are and your work, and yeah, I couldn't imagine taking someone somewhere if I hadn't taken myself there
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. I could be here with you all day, Christy.
Yeah.
So what do
Honestly.
you see, what's happening for you? We're in the year 2026 as we're recording. So what do you see unfolding for you this year? What are your big picture visions? What do you see for yourself?
Mhm. So More teaching, essentially. So I love facilitating in the sit certification, and so I'm also licensed to, like, teach sit on my own as well. So I will be bringing that and soul flow into a dual certification container. So and soul flow, for anyone that doesn't know, is a movement embodiment based practice by Andy Love to really bring you into the body, understand the language that your body is speaking, and move with that. And what I have discovered as I was learning soul flow, so I'm a trainer there as well, of course. As I was learning soul flow, the sort of arc of a soul flow session is so similar to sit. And so I combine them together a lot, and it is potent. And that's what you would have experienced as well at that event.
Yeah.
And so I thought, how can I bring this to more people? So that is what is coming in 2026, which is a big thing that I'm super excited about, is that dual certification. It will be likely about a year-long container.
Mm,
Yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Good
So,
for
and then
you.
the usual little bits and pieces, programs here and there, but that's the big one. Mhm.
That's exciting. And I love that it's gonna be a year-long integration,
Yeah,
right? For people to
totally.
actually experience the work. That's incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, indeed.
exciting.
Yeah.
So how can people, connect with you, learn more about your work? What's the best place to find where you're at?
So Instagram is great, Soma Sky Wellness, sky with an E, or our website, somaskywellness.com.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. I will put those in the show notes.
awesome. Thank you.
So before we say goodbye for now, I always love to ask, what is a message of hope that you can offer the listeners for those who might be feeling like quitting or throwing in the towel?
Just find the 1%. The 1%. That's what I found years ago. I felt like 1% better in my day, and that was the moment that I knew, "Oh, my body is capable of this." I actually didn't even feel that my body was, like, capable of that before that point. So find that 1%. If you can find 1%, you can get to 2%, you can get to 3%, and just continue building small, 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 small steps.
I love that. Thank you so much, Christy. It's such an honor to be going to just be obsessed with this conversation. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for leading with such high values and integrity and ethics. And yeah, we need more leaders like you.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a treat to chat.